Since the dawn of civilization, one drink has followed humanity through triumph and tragedy, a liquid of gods and kings, of peasants and poets. Wine. More than just a beverage, it is a story in a glass of earth, sun, culture, and time. Today on Arrakis, we journey across thousands of years to uncover the history of wine, from ancient rituals to modern vineyards. Archaeologists believe that the story of wine begins over 8,000 years ago in the rugged valleys of Georgia, in the Caucasus Mountains. Here, wild grapes were pressed and stored in clay jars, known as qvevri. This was not just fermentation, it was alchemy, the transformation of fruit into a drink that seemed touched by the divine. Evidence also emerges from ancient Persia and Armenia, where the world's oldest winery, dating back to 4100 BC, was discovered in a cave. Imagine torches flickering on stone walls, grapes crushed by bare feet, and clay vats slowly filling with a ruby-red liquid. Wine was born. As farming spread, so too did the vine. In Mesopotamia and Egypt, wine became the drink of the elite. Egyptian tombs show vineyards tended with care, servants pouring goblets of deep red wine for pharaohs, and amphorae sealed with wax for the afterlife. To the Egyptians, wine was a gift from the gods, not for daily thirst, but for ritual. Beer was for the people, but wine was for eternity. The Greeks took this sacred drink and gave it philosophy. They believed wine revealed truth, in vino veritas. At symposia, gatherings of thinkers and poets, cups of diluted wine flowed while Plato, Socrates, and Euripides exchanged ideas. Dionysus, god of wine, embodied its paradoxical power: joy and chaos, creation and destruction. The Greeks also recognized something essential to wine culture: terroir. They understood that the soil, the sun, the very landscape imprinted itself onto the flavor of the grape. When the Romans rose to power, wine became unstoppable. They planted vineyards across their empire, from Spain to Gaul, from the Rhine to Britain. Roman engineers cataloged grape varieties, developed pruning methods, and built trade networks that carried amphorae of wine from the Mediterranean to the far edges of their dominion. For the Romans, wine was not a luxury, but a necessity, drunk by soldiers, peasants, and emperors alike. It was safer than water, a daily staple. Even Pliny the Elder wrote about wines, ranking vineyards in ways that still echo in modern classifications. Roman wine culture left us amphorae buried in shipwrecks, still carrying traces of ancient vintages, reminders that even then, wine was global. When Rome collapsed, vineyards might have withered with it, but wine found refuge in the monasteries of Europe. Monks became the quiet guardians of viticulture. In Burgundy, Champagne, and along the Rhine, they cultivated vineyards with precision and patience. For them, wine was not only the blood of Christ, essential to the Eucharist, but also a labor of devotion. Some of the world's most celebrated vineyards today trace their roots to medieval monasteries. In the Middle Ages, wine spread beyond the cloisters. It flowed in the halls of nobles and at the tables of peasants, though the quality was uneven. Great regions began to define themselves. Bordeaux, Chianti, Rioja. Wine became a reflection of identity, tied to land, family, and faith. Guilds of vintners formed, and regulations appeared, ensuring not only trade but prestige. Then came the age of exploration. Ships crossed oceans, carrying vines and barrels to new worlds. Spanish missionaries brought the vine to Mexico, Peru, and Chile. Later, French settlers carried vines to Canada and the Dutch to South Africa. By the 1600s, vineyards appeared in California, where Franciscan friars planted grapes that would one day shape Napa Valley. Each land gave the vine a new character. Malbec thrived in the high altitude of Argentina. Carmenere found rebirth in Chile after being forgotten in France, and Zinfandel became a Californian legend. Wine adapted, as if it were a traveler itself, absorbing the soul of every new soil. Yet wine's journey has not always been smooth. In the 19th century, European vineyards faced devastation from a tiny insect, Phylloxera. Invisible to the naked eye, this louse gnawed at the roots of grapevines, leaving entire regions barren. Bordeaux, Burgundy, Rioja, all seemed doomed. Fortunes were ruined, traditions shattered. The solution came, ironically, from America, where vines had evolved resistance. By grafting European vines onto American rootstocks, viticulture was saved. Out of disaster came resilience, and from resilience, innovation. The modern world transformed wine again. In the 20th century, wars ravaged vineyards, but wine endured, often symbolizing hope and recovery. Scientific advances refined winemaking. Stainless steel tanks, controlled fermentation, and a deeper understanding of yeasts and chemistry. At the same time, wine began to democratize. No longer the privilege of kings or clergy, it became a drink for all. The glass of wine at dinner, once unthinkable outside Europe's aristocracy, became a global ritual. Today, wine is more than an industry. It is a culture, a language, a way of life. From the rolling hills of Tuscany to the valleys of Napa, from the sunlit terraces of Santorini to the wind-swept plains of Patagonia, every vineyard tells a story. French champagne still carries the aura of celebration, while Australian Shiraz bursts with bold flavors, and South African Pinotage reflects a complex history. And yet, with every sip, we are tasting more than grapes. We taste the clay jars of Georgia, the tombs of Egypt, the amphorae of Rome, the prayers of monks, and the courage of vintners who replanted after phylloxera. Wine is history, bottled, aged, and poured into our glasses. So next time you swirl a glass of red or white, take a moment to reflect. You are holding thousands of years of human civilization. The story of wine is the story of humanity itself. Migration, innovation, survival, and celebration. This was Arrakis. If you enjoyed this journey, raise a glass with us, like, subscribe, and join our next adventure through the mysteries of history.